If you've been running an agency long enough, you've probably felt a shift like this. The work costs more to deliver, clients expect more for less, and your offer that used to sell very easily now feels worthless. In this video, we're going to talk about how to know when it's time to pivot your agency's offer and how to do it in a way that protects your company instead of risking it. If you want more clients, more sales, and marketing that actually works, you should subscribe because that's what all my videos are built to help you do. Naturally, the first thing we need to talk about is why pivoting is important. One of the most dangerous assumptions any agency can make is believing that the thing that worked yesterday is going to continue to work today. A pivot is not quitting, it's not rebranding every 6 months, and it's not starting your company over from scratch. All it is adjusting, or sometimes fundamentally shifting, your core service offer to match what the market is interested in now. So for example, a photography company might shift from single shoots to content packages because their clients are requesting consistent assets for use on Instagram, Facebook, and all these different social media platforms. The agencies that survive the longest are the ones that stay up to date with what clients are actually willing to pay for. All right, now we can start talking about the warning signs that tell you that you need to pivot. The first one is a margin squeeze. Now, this is usually the earliest signal and one that a lot of agency owners tend to ignore. Your fulfillment costs go up, so you need more revisions, more tools, more labor, more complexity of said labor, but pricing stays the same. If you are working harder, you're hiring more employees and you're burning more time, but your clients are still pushing back on the price, that's probably not a sales problem, it's just the market telling you that your offer no longer supports healthy margins. So let's take an example. So say you manage Google Ads for local service businesses, HVAC, pest control, landscaping, and you charge $1,500 a month. At first, you're working with clients with small budgets, simple campaigns, maybe they require 1 to 2 calls a month, but then your clients grow and you start serving bigger customers as well. Now they expect weekly reporting, conversion tracking fixes, creation of landing pages, feedback on landing pages that their team's developing, conversion rate optimization, suggestions, and now your role has shifted from ads manager to a growth consultant, but pricing stays flat. What does that tell you? It tells you that ad management alone is not the product anymore, it's strategic accountability. Because if clients aren't going to pay you for ads management anymore, the solution is not to be more efficient with your ads management, it is to bundle ads, CRO, reporting into some kind of premium growth system. Or you move up market to clients where spend and those expectations align with the margins that you would have needed for the offer previously. In any situation that resembles something like that, optimizing processes cannot save you. You need a higher value or a higher ticket service. The second warning sign is market innovation. Now, as we know, in digital marketing, things move really fast. The things that used to be premium eventually become expected by our clients. AI-driven design tools, CRM ecosystems that track everything, automation platforms, all of those things are going to shift what your clients consider to be standard. Now, if your agency is still selling the same deliverable that you sold 3 years ago, but clients expect twice the output, your offer is outdated. So for example, let's say you're a tax firm and you're selling bookkeeping and related services, but now your clients expect real-time dashboards, cash forecasting, and advisory for the exact same price. The market moved, so your offer needs to move as well. The market does not care how hard something used to be to do, it only cares about the result that you can provide. And the last warning sign is pretty simple, it's client feedback patterns. If your clients are consistently asking, can you help with SEO? What about CRO? Do you offer ongoing support? Can this integrate with our CRM? Do you create automations? Do you have real-time reporting? It's not just them being annoying. They are telling you that your current offer is incomplete. You need to make sure that you are recording and transcribing all of your sales calls and reviewing them manually or inputting them into ChatGPT or some other AI tool to see what trends are emerging in your niche. When your clients stop buying, for example, a website and they start buying something new, outcomes, leads, sales funnels, etc., a simple build-only service no longer makes sense to present to the market. Now, an important point I need to make here. There is a broad industry shift happening in the 21st century where clients across industries no longer want isolated deliverables. They want ecosystems. So ads, landing pages, email funnels, all connected to their CRM, automations, analytics, lead pipelines. That's why so many agencies today are evolving from we do insert one or two services into some kind of full stack growth partner. Not because being a growth partner is trendy, but that's what businesses need and expect today to scale. New founders across every single industry and vertical have access to unlimited information easier than they have ever had it. So now they're circumventing the need for these one-off services because they can do some of them on their own. And they need long-term support from people like us who have a holistic understanding of marketing ecosystems. All right, now we can talk about how to pivot without destroying your entire company. So you don't pivot by burning everything down and starting over, you just pivot by listening. So listening to your lost deals, your sales objections, your upsell requests, and the problems of your best customers. So for example, let's say you start noticing a pattern. You get several comments and messages on LinkedIn saying that companies are interested in your service, but it's too expensive for just that, whatever it is that you're selling. On your sales calls, people keep asking your reps, do you also help with implementation? What happens after launch? Do you also offer CRO? Do you offer this, that, and the other? And your existing clients are asking if you can add monthly support, reporting, or optimization, and they're willing to pay you extra for it. That's it. That's the pivot. You want to make sure that you test this new combined offer with a small group and not your entire sales pipeline to confirm what exact services that your market is actually interested in. And then finally, you want to make sure that you update all of your messaging, because if your website, social media content, discovery calls, and proposals don't all clearly explain the new value, there was no point in pivoting at all. And finally, we can talk about when not to pivot your offer. Of course, one slow month does not mean it's time to change the entire direction of your company. Most agencies have deal cycles of 30 to 90 days, and the invoices lag behind outreach by a month or so anyway. Now, 60 to 90 days is your diagnostic window. This is when you're looking at fixing the execution of the offer, not the offer itself quite yet. In that window, you need to be reviewing everything you possibly can about your agency, specifically the outreach volume versus replies, calls booked versus calls taken, even go as far as to transcribe all of your sales calls if you're not already doing that, listen back to them and look for trends, your close rate, your cash collected, not just signed. Your rule of thumb here is that if your inputs drop, so less emails sent, less calls made, lower ad spend, you don't need to be looking at a pivot just yet. But if your inputs stayed relatively consistent, but your outputs are falling, it might be time to look at an offer revision. Now, after 90 days, you can start really considering that pivot if things are still going poorly. We don't want to pivot just because we're avoiding a particular outreach channel or we saw a new service trend on YouTube. Now, funny enough, I see a lot of failed pivots result from a lack of tracking. The company's pipeline dried up because they paused cold email or some other major source of leads, and instead of restarting outreach, they just convinced themselves the problem is positioning. They pivot the offer, and then the business tanks even faster. You must only pivot when the market consistently pushes back on your current offer. Now guys, if your agency feels harder to run than it used to, you need to take that as feedback and not failure. Listen early, adapt, and pivot before the market forces you to. If this helped you, you should leave a like and subscribe and comment if you need help pivoting your agency's offer.